Thinking about starting a TCG business? Well, in today's video, we're going to go over the real cost that no one really talks about when starting a TCG business overall. What's up, guys? Alex here. I own and operate TCG Metagaming from my bedroom. I've been working on TCG for the last 5 to 7 years on and off. I do it kind of as like a little side hobby, which a lot of you guys can do as well. And I'm going to tell you basically the upfront cost of what it actually takes to get started. So stay tuned. All right, operational costs. A couple things to keep in mind when starting the TCG player business. You actually need certain items that you're going to use on a daily basis that basically doesn't pay you back, I guess is a good way to put it. For instance, a printer. You need a good quality printer if you plan on scaling this long term. You can get you a little $40 printer and buy a little ink cartridge. But if you're hoping to scale it long term and you're printing, 20, 30, 40 orders a day, those ink cartridges can get expensive. I actually have I think it's called a laser printer. Don't know the actual terminology, but basically I get 7,000 prints per cartridge, and that usually typically lasts me anywhere from 4 to 6 months at this current moment. So that's something I would look into. It's slightly more expensive. I think I paid 140 for that printer cost. So that's something that you can do, or you can just get the basic one if you just plan on doing a couple orders here and there. Start with the basic one, but I probably will tell you eventually you're going to want to buy the more expensive one, which is only maybe $100 more. So there you go, $140 gone right out the get go. You're negative 140. Supplies. So stamps nowadays I think are 78 cents a stamp, and then it's like $1 per ounce if you do, because there would be times where you have 20, 30, 40 card orders that have to put an ounce stamp on it. So stamp cost 75 cents. Now I know TCG and eBay, they have like $1.39 shipping added to your order if they order a 50-cent card. But keep in mind that when you're shipping your orders, you're losing that 75 cents right off the, or 78 cents right off the bat. All right. Penny sleeves. Penny sleeves are pretty cheap. They're called penny sleeves for a reason. They should only cost you a penny if you order in bulk. I know you can get 100 of them for, I think, maybe $2 or $3. Top loaders. You need top loaders when you're shipping out cards in bubble mailers or PWEs, which stand for plain white envelopes. That's something you don't get back. You don't expect to charge the customer 10 cents for a top loader or 2 cents for a penny sleeve. That's something that just needs to be purchased on day one. And when I think I looked it up, it actually costed somewhere between $55 to $60 for, I think it was either 100 or 500 top loaders and penny sleeves. So there you go. Now you're negative 195 right off the bat. Plus, you buy a roll of stamps, that's $78. You're already $240 in the hole, and you haven't even sold anything yet. All right. I'm trying to think if there's any other shipping materials. Oh, bubble mailers. Bubble mailers are not cheap. If you plan on selling, $100 cards, $50 cards, whatever, anything above $50, you have to ship it with tracking with TCG Player and eBay. So a bubble mailer nowadays maybe cost you anywhere from 50 cents to $1.49 per bubble mailer, unless you order in bulk. What else when it comes to shipping? I think that's all I can think about right now. But I'm already, $300 in the hole, and I haven't even sold a single card yet. All right. Platform fees. When you're selling on TCG Player, like me, if you get to level 4 with mass price and things like that, they take anywhere from 11 to 13 or 14% right off the top. So if you sell a $100 card, I'll give you a good example. You sell a $100 card for $100. TCG Player will take, I think, 13% of that. So we'll just average $13. So now you're at what, 87, right? And then you have to send it with tracking. Tracking nowadays is like $6. So you're at $81. Your bubble mailer maybe costs $1, so you're at $80. And then your top loader, penny sleeve, or minuscule when it comes to you're at $80, and chances are you probably paid anywhere from 70 to 75% on that card. You're not making a lot. Storage organization. When you're selling on TCG Player, eBay, you need somewhere to store your cards properly, so that way they're easy to find. And I have this right here. It's called a 5-row, I guess, box. I can't think of BCW box or whatever. And basically, I just have my cards sorted by alphabetically by set with these tabs. so it's easy to just find them. It's easy to just store your cards properly that way. I think a box nowadays is like $10. You have to order in bulk, so it's probably better off just going to like a local card shop and picking up one or two boxes. Or if you want to put them in an ETB, maybe you don't have a big inventory in the beginning. You can buy like a ETB, Pokemon ETB, and kind of store your cards in there as well. So yeah, very important to be organized and have a proper storage for your supplies. I actually have this rack right here where I store like my envelopes, my printer, pretty much everything I need in order to you know, fulfill orders. Not saying that you have to buy this, but if you use like a dresser or something that you already have, that's fine. But eventually you're going to want it to where everything's in one place and it's easy to access. All right. So now that we have our basic supplies cost and what it really takes to get started, another thing that I wanted to discuss with new sellers or just anybody in general, if you're watching this video, a lot of people get profits versus cash flow wrong per se. So for instance, somebody will be like, "Oh, I made $3,000 this month," in which reality, they spent $2,200 on that collection. $500 went to fees, platform fees, envelopes, stamps, the TCG player, etc. And the actual profit from that $2,200 was $300 in profit. So, yeah, if you ever hear anybody say, "Oh, I made $7,000 at a card show," or "I made $7,000 at a TCG on TCG Player eBay," in reality, they did not make that much. They probably made anywhere from 7 to 15% of that as an actual profit. All right, so definitely keep that in mind when you're starting TCG business. You're not making a lot in the beginning. Once you start scaling over the course of time, you'll make a lot. But in the beginning, it's very low margins when it comes to selling things online. Okay, so here's something that I don't hear a lot of people talking about when it comes to their TCG business, as time being a hidden cost. Even when you're not spending money, you're still spending hours to make that money, if that kind of makes sense. So let me break it down for you in a way. If you spend hours, several hours sorting cards, listing items, or packaging orders, and you only make a small amount of profit, that time has value. For example, if it takes you 5 hours to make $50, you didn't really make $50. You made $10 an hour, and that's before fees and expenses. So that's why time matters in a TCG business. You want to make sure that you're actually scaling up and not just staying flat across the board. If you're only doing $7 an hour while doing your TCG business after fees and everything, you might as well just get a part-time job. Take that into consideration. Don't worry about it in the beginning because it takes a while to get everything rolling. But let's just say 2, 3 months down the road, and you're calculating your expenses, your profits, and things like that. Kind of log your hours as you go. Let's just say you spend 3 hours a day, 7 days a week. At the end of every month, factor in, let's say your profits is $7,000. I don't know, something dumb. And then divide that by, let's just say you put in 3 hours a day. So that's 2, 4, 6, 80, 84 hours, 80 hours a month. So do 7,000 divided by 80, and that gives you your breakdown of how much you're making an hour. Now, if you're below, $10 an hour, I would suggest maybe just doing a part-time job, and that's after you start. Don't worry about the first month or 2, 3 months when you're just starting fresh and things like that. But let's say you're 3, 4 months in, figure out where your actual dollar per hour is, and that will tell you right there if it's really worth selling on TCG Player or eBay or things like that. All right, so if you're still thinking about running the TCG business, make sure you keep three things in mind: operational cost, inventory cost, and your time. After we broke it down in the video earlier, if that's something that you're still willing to do, definitely follow along. I'm going to do video every day, kind of breaking down the different aspects of running the TCG business. And hopefully for some of you guys, you may do it for 3 months, realize you don't like it. Or some of you guys may turn this into a full-blown business. Maybe you have aspirations to open a card shop or do card shows. Build a foundation first, and then that will come later on. But one thing I do want to tell you guys: busy doesn't mean profitable. Respect your time. If you're just make sure you're at the end of the day, you're calculating how much you're actually making. So that way, overall, if it's worth it or not to you. All right, so just to kind of give you guys a little foreshadowing, in the next video, we're actually going to talk about, is selling on TCG Player or eBay still worth it in 2026? So if this video was helpful and you liked it, comment down below. Tell me what you think. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.